Hi, welcome back. So today we're going to be watching the last few minutes of a flight from Wamena into Pasima. As you can see, I'm not very high because this is a fairly short flight. If I remember correctly, I'm at 7,500, which doesn't leave me with a lot of room off of the terrain. This flight is out the valley called South Gap from Wamena. So you can see it kind of meanders on ahead of us and it ends up dumping out into the northern lowlands in front of us here a little ways. Pasima is not all the way out. It's down at around 4,500 feet if I remember correctly, down South Gap. So something I want to kind of point out here is the sun shadow. On the far side of the valley here, you can see the whole valley is in shadow on the far side and you really can't see anything. This is something that we have to pay attention to while we are flying in the mountains here in the early morning, especially when the sun is at a low angle. You get sun shadow, and at times, depending upon which direction you're going, sun shadow can make it almost impossible to see what is behind it. You can't tell where the ridges are, you can't tell where the trees are, obstacles, that sort of thing. So it can be kind of dangerous. If the valley's plenty wide, like in this case, just stay in the sunlight, and you're fine. If it becomes a question of can I turn around and get out of here, you do not want to be turning towards the shadow. You want to be turning away from it. So you want to get either into the shadow or as close to it as possible, and then without putting yourself in danger, and then turn towards the side of the valley that you can actually see. Now we are coming into Pasima. You can just barely pick it out on the far, on the bright side of the canyon here, but it's really hard to see. Pasima is a sloped airstrip, so let's talk about how to land on a sloped airstrip. Now, before we get into the nuts and bolts of how to, I want to just throw in a disclaimer. This video is entertainment. It is not instruction. Don't use what I'm telling you here as instruction for going out and mountain flying yourself. Mountain flying is dangerous. Mountain flying takes special training. Do it. Go do mountain flying, but get training to do it well. Find an instructor who lives and flies in the mountains regularly and get some training. Go do it. It's incredible. But don't try this on your own without any training because it will kill you. So, sloped airstrips. You want to fly basically a normal approach. So let's say your home airport's at 2,000 feet and you find that your airplane really likes being about 500 feet above the ground and a mile to 1.2 miles out. You can see, just a pause here, there's the airstrip down below, just passing out of the left of the screen. That's where we're going to be landing. So you set up at like 2,500 feet at this little imaginary home airstrip of yours, and you fly your little approach, at a 600 feet per minute, and that gets you a really nice stable approach to a perfect landing. That's great. You do the exact same thing for a sloped airstrip, but instead of that airstrip being flat, now we slap it on the side of a mountain and give it 12% slope. You still want to be 500 feet above and 1.1 to 1.2 miles out, and you want to fly that same rate of descent. The only difference is when you flare, you're going to need extra airspeed and extra power so that you can flare through level to climbing to match the slope of the airstrip, and then you touch down in the climb. That's how you land on a sloped runway, and it takes training, it takes practice. So don't try this on your own, but definitely get some training and try it out. So here you can see I'm turning towards the shadow, and you'll notice you can't really tell what's in there. I go here regularly, so I know I've got room. And as the shadow goes across the camera, you can start to see a little bit better what's back there. You got to be careful. But as we turn away from the sun, you're going to find that you can see a whole lot more. And that's what sun shadow will do for you. So you got to be careful. Now, with setting up here, I'm setting up for a long base leg. what you want to do is you want to get everything ready. So I'm working on the checklist, getting everything done, putting down the flaps, getting all set up so that I'm totally ready, sending out a message on my satellite tracker, calling flight following, letting them know where I am and that I'm about to land. So I'll get all those things done, then it's just focus on the approach. It's all focus on the approach. And at this point, I know for this airstrip, my abort point is probably, I can't remember off the top of my head. I would look at the chart right before landing, as I'm overhead the airstrip normally. I think it's fairly short final, but you can turn left or right depending upon the wind. So in that case, I've got some room, but I have to line up with the runway first. So we're coming in close to the turn from base to final, very nice and close to the terrain so that I have as long of a final leg as I can get. The key point here is at 4,300 feet, if I remember correctly. You get there right next to this little ridge we're crossing, and then you turn final. And there you can see the runway on the far side of the valley. Now I'm going to be stabilized. I'm looking for my airspeed plus or minus a couple of knots, 75 knots. I'm looking for my descent rate. I'm looking to see what my wind is doing. In this case, I was surprised by a left crosswind. I was expecting a right crosswind. So then my abort would be to the left. And I'm watching to make sure everything's stable. Yes, at this point I'm committed. And now it's just got to accept whatever it takes. And right here, I start the transition, might add a touch of power, parallel the runway, touchdown, make it look like a level runway. Now, you go into beta a little bit to slow down, and then you gotta add power because it goes up to 19% slope here at the top end, right in here. And so you gotta have power in. You do not wanna get stopped here or you will put your airplane on its tail in a hurry. That's not a problem in a tail dragger, but in a conventional gear, you're gonna be in trouble. So then I turn around, park in the little parking area here, and that's that. I gotta tell you, I really enjoy this kind of flying. It's a lot of fun. It really does take very specific training, and it takes a greater level of precision, and you've got to be careful. Every day it's like, am I safe? Am I being safe? Am I doing things right? Am I following the procedures? And if you do that, you can have a successful career doing this, and it's pretty fun.